Today I'm going to do dehydrating jerky. I have the Hamilton Beach Dehydrator. It comes with 5 stackable trays. And in here we've got grates, and this is always at the top. And irregardless if you have these trays filled or not, all trays need to be on here when you dehydrate foods. To have a lean beef, you know what, I'll just cut that out. It'll be okay. Now the other is, I do not have liquid smoke, but I am going to try the whiskey flavor steak rub and the Kansas City rib rub. Now I'm also going to add extra spices and do my own thing, see what I can come up with. I'm just going to go ahead and I'm going to cut the meat fresh. Now it's got marbling, but that's okay. And they say do a 1/4 inch. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And I'm not particular on it being exactly straight like the stores, so I've got a variety of cuts here. And let's just pull out another one. Oh, it's got a bit of fat. Oh, so what? That's okay. And I've got some other pieces here. Whiskey flavored steak rub. And I put maybe 2 tablespoons in there. And then this one's the Kansas City rub. And again, I put about 2 tablespoons in there. I don't think it's going to be enough, but what I'm also going to use, I'm going to try this. I bought this from the Dollar Starts barbecue seasoning mix. Heavenly Spice, that's a lemon pepper. Yeah, $1.50. Barbecue Texas. And then Steak and Chops. I'm going to pour a bunch of this into both of these. Oh, why not? You know, be creative. Do what you ever think that's going to taste good. The other two is that I made my own steak spice. And this one, you know, it says Saskatchewan steak spice, but it has Saskatchewan steak spice, Montreal steak spice. It has 3 different peppercorns in here, and it's also a crusher. And then I've got, let's see, what else do I have in here? A bunch of barbecue seasoning. This I made myself, so I'm going to put a bunch of this in there too. I threw in actually another tablespoon of the whiskey flavored steak rub, and this looks pretty good. And then I threw in a bunch of the other. I realized when I used the Dollar Store stuff, it's got real huge peppercorns in here. And I actually have peppercorns in my crusher, so I think that'll probably be the better to use is if you've got a mill. Put it through a mill instead of just shaking it right out of the shaker. Because as you see, there's quite a big large peppercorn. And I think this is really meant to be put into a mill and then used through that way. But that's okay. I'll just kind of crush it up a bit. Okay. Really want to crack open a lot of those spices and those peppers. That looks pretty good. And then I'll grab another spoon because that's the whiskey flavor. And then this is the Kansas City rub. Now the Kansas City rub, it's not a spicy sauce. It's actually very flavorful. I was quite surprised when I bought it. I thought, you know, you're going to have a lot of heat on this, and it's not. It's actually more of a sweet flavor, a sweet barbecue-y flavor. And I really enjoyed that one. Now I haven't tried the whiskey flavored yet because I just opened up the package. So I'm going to take a little taste of this and see what it tastes like. Well, I put all the extra stuff in there, but I think I'll get a good taste of what that is. Tastes like whiskey. It's actually lots of salt in this one. Yeah, it's got a really heavy salt taste. That one's different. Okay, let me go back to the Kansas City. Sweet, salty. Here we go. I probably don't have enough marinade, but no, I'll just keep adding and just keep putting stuff in until I think it tastes not too bad. And then I'm gonna let this sit, well, probably the rest of the day, and then tomorrow I'll go ahead and I will do the dehydrating. Drain the marinade out of the meat, and it says pat it dry, put it onto a baking sheet. Okay, I've put it onto the pans and I patted it dry, both sides, and I'm just gonna pop it in the oven. I'll do, it says 5 to 10 minutes. I'll go halfway and I'll do, what, 7? Sure, timer. 7, 5, 1, extra 3. You know what, I'll do it at 7. Okay, let's do this. I'm gonna put one on the bottom rack and one on the top. Okay. See you in 7. Okay, I actually left it in there for more like 8 or 9 minutes, but I'm just gonna let it cool down, and then I'm gonna pop it into the dehydrator. Now I've got extra moisture in here, which is okay. Looks like it actually baked all the fat off. Hey, that's even better. Okay, I'm gonna pat this down, and then we're gonna get the dehydrator going. Okay, I've now drained the meat, patted it dry. I tilted the pan so that all the drippings would go down here for all that excess, and that worked out really well. Then I just put it onto a plate that had paper towel on it. And there it is. And I patted it dry, and once that was done, I put it into the dehydrator. So I have got 4 trays going. So I've got down below, this is the whiskey. So I figured I don't have that much, but I thought I'm going to spread it out to 4 different racks. So I've got 2 racks with whiskey, and then this one is the Kentucky something, and then here we go. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the last rack on, and which is the top rack. Remember, that always has to be at the top. And then I'm not going to include, obviously, the flat tray or the mesh tray. Here we go. Put that on. And I've already plugged it in. Now the timing on this, so temperature 160. And then time, let's do it starting at 4 hours. Okay, see you soon. I have 34 minutes left. Let's take a peek. Okay. That looks really good. Let's take a look up here. It's now been 4 hours, and I took the lid off, had to take a look at it. I've already eaten one piece. This top one is the Kansas City rub. Oh my goodness, this one is fantastic. That one's incredible. And then there was the bottom one, and this one had a piece of that one too. And that one was the whiskey flavored steak rub. This one, wow, if you want a bold jerky taste, this one really has a lot of zing, a lot of flavor. It's a little bit on the hotter side because I put extra peppercorns into that, but this one, whoo, Here, I'm going to show you what this looks like. I've already washed my hands. Now, it's going to have a, say it's going to have a bit of grease on it, and that's normal because they're saying that you still have to take a dry towel to this and then still bake it in the oven for, I think it was about 10 or 12 minutes. But this is what I'm looking for. It's saying that you should be able to bend it, and I'll kind of move it this way. You should be able to bend it without having it break. And that looks pretty darn good. Now I'm thinking that I might do this for another half hour because I do have a bit of gristle on here, and I'm thinking that's probably why they say, you know, take the gristle off. But I've put it on for an extra half hour, and now I'm going to take the beef jerky off, and I'm going to transfer it onto a baking sheet with paper towel, and I'm going to pat it dry. Oven's on 275. I've patted everything down, and it is now in. I'm going to set the timer. Timer on 10, 12. Do 11 minutes and start. Results. And there it is. And now, depending on how you want to store it, mild, hot, Hamilton Beach Dehydrator. And oops, we ate way too much of it. It is fantastic.